Intro.
Oh man. Here at WebDM, it's a delicate balancing act between providing information and pissing people off. So today, we're going to talk game balance. There it is. Sometimes the muse descends. You ready?
All right, let's go. Shoot. Roll it.
Hey there, gamers. I'm Pruitt, and this is Jim Davis. Today, we're going to talk about game balance on WebDM. All right, Jim. Oh, excuse me.
Goodness.
Game balance. Man.
The bugbear of DMs and forum theorists everywhere.
How important is it?
It is not that important.
Okay, that's where we start.
It is not that important. And I find that most discussions of game balance take place in this weird vacuum where they don't talk about the stuff that happens in the table at the game.
Yeah.
In the game at the table. Gotta get my prepositions right. So
it's hard to get in a table.
Yes. It's one of those things where someone reads a rule book and they go, oh man, look at that. This ability, this class, this spell, this thing, it's much better than what's come before it or different, and now we've got to do something about it. We've got to craft it, and we've got to analyze it, and we've got to do this. And almost always, if you read these discussions online, it comes down to damage in combat, which is a tiny fraction of the game.
Yeah.
And usually talking tiny points.
Yeah.
A couple of damage points here, a couple of damage points there. And so I find that discussions of game balance are often conducted without any reference to what actually goes on at tables, and without any acknowledgement that you're arguing over very fine details, particularly in 5th edition. Other versions of the game, balance was more important. Obviously, is a big feature in 4th edition.
Yeah.
The classes are all mechanically similar. Powers are very much aligned. It's just kind of the point of the game.
It became kind of homogenized.
It does become homogenized. For groups like ours, where we care less about game balance and don't mind having characters with widely different power levels in the same party having an adventure together, that's okay. Other groups, it's got to be balanced.
Right.
And that's the game for them. And so I find that discussions of game balance often are unproductive, argumentative, and needlessly nitpicky.
Yeah, because like you said, sometimes it's down to, oh, well, my guy can do a possible 8 more damage per attack than yours. So over 4 attacks, that's 32 damage.
Yeah.
And so that means in each round I could be.
It's just like it's exhausting.
But guess what? That's only if you hit.
If you hit.
Is somebody helping you? Do you have advantage? Because it'd be a possible crit.
Right?
There's a lot of different things that go into combat, that go into actually playing the character, and instead of just, because you know me, I've done that before with my characters where I equate out every possible
round, what are the ranges?
How much damage they can do if they have this feat.
Yeah, and I find that discussions that, particularly the theory crafting and the paperwork that people do, and what's some forum members on different forums refer to the white room combats.
Right.
This is a combat that takes place on a featureless plane in the proverbial 30 by 30 dungeon room without anything else going on, and it's always a fresh combat. They always have all their resources.
Yeah. And there's no cliff.
There's no cliff. Sometimes there's a cliff. There's sometimes a chandelier as well.
Gotta swing from something.
Gotta swing from something. If it's an especially important adventure, there's a chandelier and a cliff. I don't know how it's happening. Maybe
works.
like the side of the castle got sheared off. Anyway, now we've gone into weird territory. So game balance is one of those things where relax. If you're a DM, and particularly if you're a new DM and you're new to Dungeons & Dragons, 5th edition is your edition that you came into.
Right.
And you go online somewhere. You go to Reddit. You go to a place like InWorld or RPGNet or any of the big places where they discuss these things. And you start seeing discussions of balance. You might start thinking, oh my God, is my game going off the rails? Am I playing this wrong? Is this something that I should be worried about? And the answer to all 3 of those is no, no, no.
Right.
It is not going off the rails. This is not something you should be especially worried about. This is not something that's going to break your game. You should really only be worried about questions of mechanical balance if at your table 2 players are unhappy because of a situation.
Yeah.
If you have a player who's relatively new to the game and they've chosen a simpler class, like say the Barbarian or the Champion Fighter or something like that, and you have another who's very skilled at the game. They understand what's going on. They've made their fighter Paladin who is focused around critting and the Divine Smite thing and all this other stuff. And you have those two players, and the player who's playing the simpler character looks at the player playing the more complex character and goes, man, I really wish I did more than that. I wish that my character was as effective as them. In all the years I've played, I have rarely seen that at the table.
Right.
More often than not, what happens is the player with the more optimized character, the more overpowered character, shares their knowledge. They offer friendly advice. Say, hey, if you really wanted to get more out of that fighter, you'd take this feat. You might consider multi-classing into this class.
Right.
And encourage that kind of behavior at the table, particularly if you have a group that has an imbalance in game experience.
Yeah.
Which can happen. Get the more experienced players, bringing the level of game mastery for the new players up, if they want it.
If they want it.
It's entirely possible that new player doesn't care.
Yeah.
Or that damage isn't the most important thing to them.
Yeah. They might be more of a social or exploration character. They're
Absolutely.
really into, delving into a dungeon, finding the traps, getting past them.
Yeah.
They don't really care about dishing out that sweet damage.
And I think this loops it back around to the fact that most of the time when these discussions are online, they are DMs talking about a situation that has not happened in their game that they are worried about.
Right.
And then it becomes a thing of, we got to fix this, and we got to do this. You want to talk about balance issues, go play some high-level 3rd edition, just using the basic book, and have someone make a fighter, and then someone else make a cleric, and someone else make a wizard. And tell me what you think about balance at the end of a typical adventuring day then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cleric and the wizard are doing everything, and the fighter basically, why did you show up? You should just be a henchman that we summon when we need you.
Yeah, because we're fighting all the enemies up here in the
We're
air.
fighting
and you're like
them up
going,
here.
what about me?
So 3rd edition had balance issues: linear fighter, quadratic wizard. The earlier editions solved those balance issues by having different classes have different XP tables. So the party has 6,000 XP, but that means you're a 6th level thief, a 5th level fighter, and a 4th level wizard.
Right.
That kind of thing. Don't quote me on that, on the actual numbers. But that's kind of where they're going with it, or the fact that you have to declare spells before they're cast.
Right. Yeah.
There's a big check on casters in earlier editions. But in 5th edition, concentration is one of the main ways which keeps wizards and other casters balanced. The action economy and the premium on different actions, what keeps them balanced.
The extra saves at the end of characters' turns when they've been affected by certain spells.
Right, that's one way to kind of make sure that spells don't overpower them. But mechanical balance is just one of those things that relax about it.
Yeah.
There are some edge cases where you want to be concerned. For me, I look at a class like the Immortal, and I see that it's playtest material, and so I want to use it as is. But I kind of hope that they tone down lethal strikes. I find lethal strikes in Rolvian's character that you played was over the top, and I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was pretty epic.
It was pretty epic, and combined with an artifact level sword made your character, but that's what we wanted. We wanted a planar renowned warrior who, is just over the top.
We were going after a bunch of demon lords that escaped from the abyss.
Right.
So it kind of fit the campaign.
It kind of fit the campaign.
But after playing it, hey, I'll be the first to say, they maybe want to tone that down, because when you compare what they can do with Lethal Strike, straight up, 10 levels of this versus 10 levels of Paladin, and what a Paladin can do with his smite, how many, I haven't played one yet, you have, but how many spell levels, how slots you have, and how much damage you can pump out. I'm pretty sure that the Immortal can do way more.
Well, they're bigger damage dice, for one. If I'm recalling, they're D10s versus D8s. You've got more power points or psychic
64
points. 64.
At 10th level.
Versus the number of spell slots that, say, a 10th level Paladin could. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure how many spell levels that is, but it's definitely more for the Immortal.
Yeah.
And so that's the nearest.
You do 12 attacks basically at full.
Yeah.
If I just did that.
Right. And so, you can space that out by having more combats per day. That's not our group style. And so, for one, I just let it happen. That's fine. That's pretty sweet. Did 90 damage for that hit? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then I just include more monsters, bigger monsters, let you fight things that the CR would otherwise suggest you can't fight.
Right.
But,
wow. That's a whole nother discussion we're about to have.
But I think that one of the ways, if you're talking just the party, the characters on the table, the DM's playing, and you want to make sure, what I find is more important is spotlight time.
Yeah.
Does every every player in this session, have they had a chance to do something iconic for their character? Has the wizard participated meaningfully in support roles with their spells? Have they, cast a spell that's particularly effective in combat? Have they used their knowledge skills to whatever advantage that they want? Has the rogue or other skill-based character, proficiency-based character, done something interesting and unique this turn? Do they have the opportunity to do that? Some players, they don't care. Some players are there to sit on their phone, and when it's their time, they roll the dice and they play. That can be distracting for some, but that might be how they want to play this game.
Right.
But is there the opportunity to step into the spotlight and be like, okay, your character's really good at something. Let's give you the opportunity to do that. So spotlight time, I find, is more important than mechanical balance.
Right.
And pretty much it's the only sane way to try to make sure that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want everyone to share their time in the limelight, because, I mean, if not, you just, that is more upsetting to me. If I'm making a character that's a badass and the entire time Joe over here is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, I didn't get to do anything I wanted to do. Because well, there was that combat, and it's like, well, yeah, that one monster, and we killed it in one round because there were 4 of us.
Because there were 4 of us, yeah. So vary up your combats a bit more. And if you find that you do have a player who always wants to participate in something, and I'm this player. This is me when I am a player. I want to be there in combat. And when we're doing a skill thing, I want to participate. And when we're doing a social thing, I want to participate. So I tend to make characters who can meaningfully participate in all of those things. But I also, at the same time, as a player, try very hard not to overshadow the dedicated, characters that are only social, only combat, only exploration.
Yeah, if you have a guy in the party, if you have a bard that is the face, let them be the face.
Let them be the face.
Like in our current evil campaign, we don't have someone who is the face.
Not really.
Right? So your guy has intimidate. My guy has persuasion.
Yeah.
So we can good cop, bad cop people all the time. But that's one way of sharing a social aspect amongst 2 characters that normally really wouldn't probably be that. I mean, I am the cleric and you're a paladin.
Right. But I mean, walking around Barovia, if we need to talk to some people, then being able to sort of have 2 characters fulfill the same role, sort of 2 halves of the same side, is one way to deal with balance issues.
Right.
So that not, one character doesn't monopolize all that time. I'm thinking of games like, there's some games like, say, Shadowrun. Shadowrun had this problem where the hackers went off and did their thing. They did the hacking mini game. The rest of the party is sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah.
That's not how if I was going to run a Shadowrun game or a similar system that has a problem like that, where one character has to be sequestered away and do their thing, and then the rest of the party has nothing to do, bring them in. That's why I like the way that, say, summoning monsters works now in 5th edition. It's no longer something that the wizard goes off and does by themselves. They bring in the whole party.
Yeah.
So spotlight time is one way to kind of deal with mechanical imbalances that you might find in your game. But if you do have, let's say you do have an unbalanced party. Let's say that you're using multiclassing and feats, and you love a lot of high-powered magic items in your game, and you're sitting there finding like the characters in this party are overpowered, OP. If I were to they would not be Adventurers League legal. They are not. Most other tables might not accept these party members, but that's the kind of game you like. Then there's other things you have to do to balance that out. You're going to have to beef up your monsters.
Oh, yeah.
If you're using all of those options and you've got characters who are more effective than the book would seem to suggest, or that the basic math of the game is based around, you're going to have to increase ACs. You're going to have to give more hit points. You're going to have to up the damage that monsters can do.
Give them another attack.
Give them another attack. Boost the damage die that they have. Give them a damage kicker. Just like, they just do +5 damage to everything. Just do something to make a more credible threat for your characters. That's it. Not every fight needs to be a fight to the death. Not every fight needs to be a nail biter. Oh my God, are we going to make it? Sometimes the party members need to just trounce the opposition. Those fights are fun too.
Well, if you have an evil, you have the big bad guy. Throw a softball fight at the party just to get them overconfident.
Yes.
Use some of the resources.
Use some of their
then
resources.
The next fight, they're moving all along in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Hits them again. Maybe it's a little bit tougher. They got to heal some people up. And then right when they're about to take a short rest is when he teleports in and starts hitting them.
Really comes at them. Overwhelming force.
I mean,
and then put those high-powered characters through their paces.
They've used half their spells already. Some people are still a little hurt. Now you get to see how badass these guys are.
But then send them a quadruple deadly encounter at them.
Yeah.
You know, if you are using the CR rules,
Yeah.
just see how well they do. It might end up with a TPK, so be careful.
Yeah, you know.
But you might be surprised at how robust and sort of resourceful the characters are.
Yeah. So you mentioned CR again, and we're talking about balance here.
Yeah.
I know we've mentioned this multiple times.
Yeah.
But what the hell's up with the CR system?
I mean, I don't know. They just released this new Unearthed Arcana article with a new CR system, but I find, like, I'm not sure Chris Perkins, the lead story DM for Wizards of the Coast, uses the CR system. I know Mike Merles, one of the lead designers for 5th edition, has come out and said, nope, just use Pure Milestone, not use this. So when you have the designers and players of the game not using the rules they made, that tells me the rules they made are garbage. And I'm sorry, I love Wizards of the Coast, I love the game that they made, but this aspect of the game is unfinished.
Yeah.
And if you are trying to use the system as written with any of the extra options, you'll find that it's just not working for you. It's cumbersome, doesn't produce good fights. I would say the solution to that is throw out the idea that your encounters need to be these carefully fine-tuned, curated experiences for the party, where everyone has a thing they can do and there's enough monsters there to challenge. Get rid of all that. What do you think would be fun? What do you think would be interesting? Sometimes those fights are going to be way easier than you expect. Sometimes they might be surprisingly hard. There are some monsters that punch above their weight. Banshees might be one of those. Specters are another, where they can challenge higher level parties, even though they're like CR2 creatures.
Right. Just throw more of them.
Just throw more of them out there. There are some creatures that seem like they'd be really high powered, and yet when you get down to it, they're a couple of hit points and an attack. Some of the higher level demons are like this, where on paper it looks like, oh man, that should be tough. But then it's like, no, that Baelor is going to go down in just like one round against an equal level paladin.
Well, I mean, I was going to go back to the evil campaign where we were fighting a bunch of demons, and a lot of them that were just dropping like flies because we were a bunch of badasses. And
And maybe that's the kind of campaign you want, and you want to run that high-powered where you can throw a horde of CR9 creatures at the party, and they go, ha! And just like, crack their knuckles and get to
Reverse gravity, and then an earthquake, and then,
you just can't, and that's what high-level D&D's like. Or even just like mid-level D&D, 5th, 6th level, or sorry, late Tier 1, early Tier 2, that you just decide, like, deal with 50 goblins. Like, just deal with it. And how does the party react? A good party, a party that's working well together and playing smartly, will try to divide and conquer, not face all those 50 goblins.
No, not at all.
Do not go in their lair, because that is a death trap. Try to draw them out, negotiate with them, pit the tribe of kobolds against them, hire some orcs to go deal with them. There are a lot of different ways that you can handle these encounters, but if you treat everything as if it has to be finely tuned, perfectly balanced, and the party has to be equal parity, and there's no imbalances there, first off, I'm sorry, this is me, that makes for a boring game. The most memorable fights I have in my games, the most memorable encounters I've had while playing and DMing have been with unbalanced characters and parties. That they're more memorable, more evocative, and bottom line is, do not worry about it. Play the game the way you think it sounds fun to you.
I mean, because at the end of the day, if something is truly unbalanced, everybody will notice. And if it's just between two people,
then you just take them aside and you just say, hey, if it's between two people, this is a person-to-person issue, not a game mechanics issue. And so I think that you'll save yourself a lot of headache if you stop worrying so much about game balance and just accept that an unbalanced game is expected and can be fun, and wait and see if it's a problem before you go fixing it. Glad that they didn't have a ton of new dragons, but at the same time, I would have liked to have seen them include gem dragons, because those are kind of some of my favorites. Like, it's an Amethst dragon.
Cranium rats.
Yeah, cranium rats are pretty sweet. There's a monster in the Tome of Beasts that's similar to a cranium rat, where it's like if it bites you, it clones itself. Every turn, it doubles the number of creatures that are on the board. And they're just like CR one quarter rats, and every turn they double. And if they bite you and you fail your save, you contract a disease where that happens to you, and all of your doubles try to kill you.
2 minutes away. You need new batteries. I love how that kind of, the deep scion kind of looks like the Demogorgon.
Uh-huh.
Jim, let me see that.
It looks like batteries. They got the Babu
The Babu.
bot.
Yeah, Maul Demon.
Small demons.
These things look creepy. Shisuva.
Mall demon.
Yeah, he
Like
goes.
a shop, not a shopping mall demon.
This one's name is Hot Talk.
Dated a mall. Maw demon.
A Maw Demon.
Maw.
Right now I'm writing down some notes for the Bard show, and so I don't forget them. That doesn't guarantee that I won't mention them. Every episode there's something I mean to say and forget.
Yep.
Every episode. I meant to talk about divine intervention with clerics. Now we're going to have to do a whole show on wishes and divine intervention. Forgot what it was for fighters that I forgot to mention. We didn't mention anything about the class ability divine intervention with clerics.
No, we didn't.
And it's yet one of those. I think we should do an entire show just on wishes. Just wishes, whether they're from genies or the spell or divine intervention. You could run you've got the makings of a really sweet Illithid adventure with the Elder Brain and the Ulathards and the mind witnesses. Mm-hmm. It's a mind witness.
I love how they make these kobolds look like really badass.
Uh-huh.
Except they're like 3 feet tall.
They're like 3 feet tall. To be honest, if they quietly were like, we're never gonna make anything for kobolds again, I wouldn't care. I don't like the character. I don't like I don't like the monster race. People that like playing kobolds, I'm just kind of like, okay. I don't want to deny you your fun, but I just can't think of a kobold I would want to play. Whereas I can think of like 5 goblins I would play. Some people are just like kobold fanatics. And they're and a lot of them are very upset about the kobold and Volos guy.
They're marginalized. They're the little guy.
Yes.
The
They're just
ultimate.
a tick above a goblin.
Yeah.
No, they're below Goblin. I would say they're below.
They're probably, yeah. Most editions, like, there's no difference mechanically. Like, you could use kobolds in place of goblins
One's
and vice
green
versa.
skin and the other's kind of reptilian.
Yeah.
Draconic in heritage.
Yeah. At some
All right,
point.
here we
they
go.
can't
Pruitt,
touch
clap one time. Jim, clap one time.
I can. We're going to talk about something, I don't know what. Here we go.
We're starting with barbarians.
Yeah, let's
Or I guess it doesn't matter. Let's do
Pruitt, say something.
barbarians.
Hi,
Good.
I'm Pruitt.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, here we go, guys. Whenever you are ready.
There's all these noises. There's noises all around. All right, Jim.
Yeah.